research how to do that. All right, let's pretend we're good. Ready? What's going on? I think we're live here. Bravo, what's going on, man?
Are we up and going?
I think we are. I'm going to check it. Dang it.
Let me look and see.
All right, I'll look too. I don't know how.
The stream ended 53 seconds ago.
I know, dude. I swear I did it this way last time, but you know, when you do it like once a week. Yeah. There is one scheduled for 105, and it said streamed 1 minute ago, but it's not available, so. Yeah, I'm getting the unavailable too. But it says on here, OBS, that we're live for 1 minute and 2 seconds.
Hmm.
Huh. And I hate technical difficulties. Part of life, though. Let me go to my channel and see if I pick it up. But yeah, I'm getting... Huh. All right, I got us here, man. You have to go to my channel, and then... Here, I'm going to... Alright, I'm going to copy the link, post it in Telegram, and then... Alright, I got us here. You have to go to my channel, and then... You know what's funny, man, is we did this...
Oh, now I got it up.
Yeah, we did this a couple times, and it all worked fine, but I don't know... I'll have to go back and revisit the process. But, You know what's funny, man, is we did this... Alright, man, what's going on? We have a special guest today.
Let's get this going.
Let's get this going.
I think we're up and going at this point. Yeah.
Alright. Alright, I apologize, everybody, for that. I hope you can catch it, the switch for the... One last thing here. It's like when they open the curtain and say, okay, action. You're like, hold on. Hold on. I mean, at least I don't have your mic muted this time. Right?
Thanks, man.
Learn something new every time. So did Phil see...
People see my mouth going.
Yeah, I know. They're like, I can't hear Bravo. I'm like, whoops. That was like 15 minutes. So we have special guest today. Did Phil see his shadow today? Do we know? Did they already do that?
I have no idea, man. I'd like to know, but
I mean,
Phil's not on my radar.
I don't know. Don't be so sure about that. I can't get the comments on. Shoot, man. Oh, live chat got it. What happened to my technical? So it's just me and you here, brother. I guess.
All right.
Hey, just radio.
Cool.
What's going on, man? What's happening? All right, let's well, first I need to introduce our guest. Today's special guest is someone that doesn't appear often, but when he does, it's somewhat or not significant. So, without further ado, Phil is here. Puxatani Phil, what's going on? So Phil's here to help us guide through these markets today, right? Right, Bravo?
I don't see Phil. Where is Phil?
Well, he made it to YouTube on the
I've
stream.
got no Phil.
Oh, well, you can't see it because I have to share through another program, whatever. So I guess you can't see Phil, dude. I apologize for that.
No, I'm disappointed. Yeah.
Man, Phil is here, and Phil's saying that he's feeling up only right now. So I guess you'd have to. All right, Phil, we'll bring you back when we want a little more insight. But you know, okay. Well, that was kind of funny, kind of fun. But man, what's going on? Let's look at the markets real quick.
We were talking about this before. Yeah, man. It's like this is this kind of a bottoming pattern is it's grueling. It just takes time. And sometimes weeks it takes to resolve.
Absolutely. And it's like Groundhog Day, right? I mean, it's like every day it's like,
yeah,
are we gonna break the trend? Are bears gonna be in control, and do we get a break? And every time it's like, oh, we made it back to the line, and we get rejected off the line or the MA20. Today's day 84 from the top. Don't forget, so last summer correction was 96, I think. 97.
Yeah, it was particularly brutal.
Yeah, it was, especially because we had the midsummer fake out, right? So in June, we had, that sort of like, hey, we're gonna bounce out, and then it was a whole month after that of nothing but down and double bottom, and we did set a lower low in the middle of that correction here, and then we came back for a fade, and then finally we sprung out, and sentiment was equally as bad. Everybody's calling for zero, and all that stuff. So really, I posted some stuff last night in the Telegram that kind of a synopsis or a summary, if you will, right? But it's like, okay, and let's look at equities too, because I haven't looked at it in an hour or two. But we had a little bit of pressure this morning with equities, although they were up. So anyways, the synopsis last night was, okay, we had equities put in a really nice V bottom bounce off the bottom into a stronger dollar. Then the dollar started falling. We had so that was quasi bullish. And the dollar falling, in my opinion, was bullish for everything. However, we're in a bear flag, and the other thing was RSI was peaking out, so that's a check for the bullish side. But we ran into the line, and really last night, and we haven't really violently sold off, right? So it's not like we just like cascade waterfall down to zero, or down here to another bottom or whatever. So it's just we're down about 1,000 or maybe 1,200 on the day, 1,200 so far, but it's just a grind, man. But this whole thing has been a grind. Remember when, all through the summer, right? It's just a slow grinding market. And I posted something else in the Telegram that it was like a 4. Did you see that, dude? It was like a 4 chart overlay. It had like NASDAQ, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and S&P. It was like, guys,
yeah,
we're just like, we're market, we're trading the equities market basically, and it tracks so well until S&P put in a V bottom, and summary is we're still bears in control. We're still correcting. It's day 85. We came up in this bear flag pattern. We hit the line. Now we're falling down. And we'll see what happens. But what was interesting, the other notable to me was that the first time we kind of really separated in the fractal was really first of the year in January. We did dip down as far as the fractal, but then we did catch up to it, and then here we kind of peeled off, and we didn't trend down from here. Remember thinking we were going to trend down, right? So we didn't trend down. And hey, Rich is here too. Hey, Rich, good to see you, man.
What's up, Rich?
And anyways, so we just slow grind. Look at this, 10 days of very small candles, super low volatility. I pulled up that volatility index, and we hadn't seen, and let me show you that. There is there are 500 indicators or more, but if you just type in volatility, historical, I think it's relative volatility index, and we're on the daily. I'm not sure how the math works on this, because remember when I showed you and I drew that horizontal line and I was like, dude, we haven't seen this low volatility since way back, like 2020 type stuff. So it must be a moving average type thing. I expected honestly to pull it up and see it down, but then maybe pop up here recently. But so I'm not sure how that works, but there is a volatility index. But yeah, climbing up here for say 10 days and in this channel with small body candles, you know, small days, just a small climb, you know, had that epic like stairs go up and then you jump out the elevator pattern. Right. So
that's right.
Right, Phil? Phil, what do you say? Phil says down only? Down, Phil, down only. Come on. All right, bye, Phil. All right, we'll catch up with you later. But check this out. So I wonder if, like, we come up this line, but, like, what do we do? Do we follow this fractal and then, like, just time is different, right? And fractals don't necessarily always have to follow time. But it's really the, you know, kind of the price levels. So yeah, like, what's my base case? I think this is more of a slow, watch this. I just think that I don't know if it's today or tomorrow or the next few days. I think we get kind of a dip down and then we come out, we do that. So just be unprepared for a few more days of boring or nothing, or we dip down and then I'm looking for some deals, right? But don't forget we did this on a video, or did this week, right? So the RSI, see that? What's popped up? It could come back and it doesn't even have to hold this line, dude. I mean, and honestly, I've been using a lot more horizontal lines lately for support resistance in active day trading. But like, it doesn't have to hold a line. It can come up here, reverse, just has to put in this higher low. And then what you'll get is a wide divergence on call it a bottom or a lower low, whatever it ends up being. Right. So that's the case for that. But yeah.
And that wider divergence is a strong indicator, right? For reversal.
Right. So, you know, like my point is that, you know, I would say a couple things. I don't think you just feed bottom out. I mean, like what I want and what I think are a little bit different right now, but to me, like, you don't correct for 80 some day, 86, maybe we go to 90 plus days. And just, although we did it back here, but my point is, you know, like, I think we need to put a sideways bottom in here or some pattern, right? So maybe we started it back here. My point is, you know, when a ship is sailing in a certain direction for 80 to 90 days, it's a little bit harder to turn it around. Right, especially the bigger the bigger the ship, the harder it is to turn it around midway. So yeah, like maybe this could help turn us around, but you know, we need something to kind of kickstart us. But let's look at let's look and see how equities are doing intraday. We started out with weakness. Looks like the Dow's green on the day. And oh, Rich is from Hawaii. Nice. Or he's in Hawaii. Cool, Rich. That's awesome. I know I've connected with people all over the world. It's so cool. Like Australia and Canada and Hawaii, and it's awesome. Look at this, man.
Everybody wants to know when we're going up only, man. That's universal.
We need to ask Phil. Phil, did you see your shadow today?
Oh, no.
Phil, or no? Like,
let him go.
That's just a joke. I know. The $1 million question is when does this correction end, and when do we go up only? Look at this, man.
Yeah.
This is equities are going up only. You know, that's what I posted last night. I was like, guys, come on, like, when do we get a turn? When does crypto get a turn? Right? Like, look at this. This is the 1 hour, but if you go to the daily, right, like big, this was a 500 point sell off. And like I posted before, and I think we did a, either a live stream on it, or I think it was in a live stream. Didn't we do the 1920s overlay last week? Yeah. So like, I'm like, that's my premise of what's happening, and what's going to happen is we follow that fractal, we blow off all markets, Bitcoin gets a retrace, but then when does it start? Right. So we saw equities, and this was last week, put a bottom in, go sideways for a couple of days, and spring out. that spring started last Friday, right? Last Friday's close was strong. It followed through Monday, Tuesday, but look how the bodies are getting smaller. You see that? It's pretty classic.
Yeah.
Pretty classic charting is that when you have smaller bodied candles, you're slowing down. Your momentum's, you can just see it in the candle, right? And it goes for the same way on the inverse too. If you have smaller body candles coming down to the to a low area, it just indicates that the move is not as strong, or that whoever's in control is getting a little bit tired, right? So there's just not as much buy only type stuff going on. So yeah, we'll see what happens here, but it's another green day. And I sent something yesterday, but dude, look at this. I want you to see this. I guess it was in here. Maybe it was even on the lower time frame, but look at this, right? This chopped up a bunch of people right here, dude, because we gapped up higher, and then it was just wild chop. And this is a 5-minute chart, but wild chop. We had a fake out breakout on the downside. See that wick? It was like, oh, we're breaking down. No, we're not. Pow. That's why when you're trading, it is important to look at, like, to have patience and wait for price confirmation. And then, like, I have a system where it's like you wait for candle close. So wait for the candle to close, because then your RSI can print where it needs to print, right? So it's not
that's right.
You know, because we've seen it 1,000 times, even on the daily. It's like, look at the RSI is up, and then it closes down, and the RSI didn't actually clear that line. That's why, like, it can look like it's giving you a signal, but you have to actually be patient and wait. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
So, I mean, we are, equities are going up. Dow's back up. It's bullish. Let's look at dollar. Dollar's down again today. And I only get daily for some reason. But look, the dollar topped at, I'm going to say this is, it's called a local top. 97,441. And it's gone, so that's bullish for assets. You have a weakening dollar. That's usually, it can actually be a bullish signal, if you will, for crypto and for equities. So when you have a weakening dollar, things tend to be able to rally. There's the whole debt, bonds picture. I don't really look at that too much. But, me, I'm just a charts guy and working on my trading muscle. So my system and my pulling the trigger on that. So, hey, Rich, in the chat, thinking about you, man, because have you seen the snow map for the US? We're going to get, like, the next few days, we're going to get hammered. Like, I'm just thinking about you, like, go get some sun, think about us on the beach maybe somewhere.
Oh.
Because bro,
it's already snowing here.
Yeah, I had to go get, like, generator fuel mix for my generator, and, like I have to figure out what to do. There's gas in it now, and so we're making preps, but we're going to get, I think, like, I had to go, we're going to take the kids sledding or whatever, but yeah, we're going to get probably on the map, we're like 10 plus inches maybe, and I'm like, oh, come on.
Whoa.
But yeah, it's dude, like, Dallas is, like, Houston's out of it, but, like, it's from Dallas up into Kansas, and then like straight northeast, right? Like all the way to northern New York. And we're all just gonna get dumped on. If you look at the snow map up near Calgary, Calgary is kind of north of Washington a little bit. It's inland from Vancouver, right? But so between Vancouver and Calgary on the snow map, it was like showing 50 plus inches of snow. Like, they're just gonna get dumped.
I wish we could go. Let's go get some powder, man.
Let's go skiing. I know, right?
Let's go.
So Rich, ready. enjoy. Hopefully you're getting good weather over there. The nation, here in the States,
sure he is.
Here in stateside, we're gonna get, for whatever you want to call it, inland, we're gonna get hammered. So, but it is what it is. So, okay, there we have it, right? Bitcoin's still correcting, day 80 something, 85, 6, 7, 8, whatever. Still under that trend line. Bears are still in control. However, we have seen a nice V-bottom bounce in equities into a strengthening dollar initially, like on Friday. The dollar has since weakened. You're seeing equities continue moving up, not as strong. So I think about it, and this is what I commented in the Telegram, but I think about it like, in my mind, that bucket has to get full first to some level before it spills over to crypto, right? So that's how, in my mind, how this thing works, is you have like risk on capital flooding into the market. First, equities need to kind of fill up to a certain level. Then we get the spillover effect into crypto. Crypto's a little bit more speculative, if you want to call it like high risk type stuff, right? So I just, in the order of operations for me, like on liquidity, would be equities get risk on first, then crypto moves, and then if you peel it off, then crypto liquidity comes out of crypto, or maybe at the same time, crypto and equities at the same time if everybody's like, I'm out of the market. So I say that, but guess what? That's contra, or that's counter to what we saw happen in September. If you look at the overlay chart, remember that, dude? Do you want to look at that real quick?
Sure.
Okay. I mean, so what we can do, I think this will work. Let's look at so what I'll do is I'll change this to a line chart, Bitcoin daily from Coinbase line chart, and then let's do a comparison to, I mean, let's just do NASDAQ for fun. That's NASDAQ stock. NDX.
There you go.
Yeah, hold on. I got to add a new price scale. There we go. I think that's it. Okay. Mm-hmm. And guess what? Let's do this because we're just, live streaming. It's whatever. Let's add SPY. Or let's do SPF, S&P. Oh, dang it, hold on. I got to do new price scale. So now this is interesting. We have Bitcoin, SPY, and NASDAQ. And you remember, right, that NASDAQ was selling off harder. Like the tech was getting sold off harder than the other index, right? So like, mm-hmm. Apple and Google and Netflix. Netflix was down hard, like 50%. They were all like, mm-hmm. everybody was making fun of Kathy Wood because ARK funds were down hard, right? But look, so for right here is what I'm thinking of from this bottom and everything. So everything bottomed in September, right? And that little, so everything rallied in end of July, rallied to early September. September was a down month from the 5th or so on all assets, right? So this is NASDAQ, S&P, and Bitcoin all fell down. But then look, Bitcoin rallied first. See it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Bitcoin rallied first, although I don't know about percentages, but Bitcoin sprung first, a little bit ahead of these others, and these others too caught up to it, but then Bitcoin fell first, but then now equities are going first, which is interesting, right? So, I mean, yeah, like predicting the time, I kind of think of it as, this market of like, let's fill back up the equity risk on, like especially maybe in the tech sector, and then S&P, and then I think liquidity spills back into Bitcoin and crypto. But that's interesting.
Yeah,
that's what it looks like.
And this looks to me like we're looking for one more downturn in equities before Bitcoin can actually make its move out of there. And that S&P chart right now is really, it's telling to me because it looks like it's running out of steam,
mm-hmm.
and it looks like it might roll over for a little correction. And that, I mean, it doesn't even have to be big, right? It could just be a small correction in whatever pattern it's printing,
right?
But then you'd also probably see Bitcoin take one more move down, and then a strong rally coming from crypto. I think that's really possible, man.
I did too, man. And like that's what I did a video on yesterday. I took like a floor level, so like the S&P ran past that, but my theory though was just that, right? My theory was, okay, this is S&P. Say like,
yeah,
we do one more whatever. And then this basically goes bloop like that, right? And then maybe both both get bullish. And then we're outside of this trend. We've consolidated at the bottom. Then we can get, then I would think that, Bitcoin and crypto, whatever they're going to do, if this is A, B, C, or 45-degree slope, just grinder up to maybe 55, mid 50s. Hopefully alts do really well. That to me, I'm going to get out there. I'm planning to. Right. On chart breakdowns or whatever, but we'll all be here. That'll be fun. Hopefully, alts really get some liquidity from even Ethereum and Bitcoin. And, if it's a true market top, right, then the majors will provide liquidity to the miners. And then these miners just get massive pumps and it gets crazy, which would be just, I would take, thank you very much. I'll take it.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
absolutely.
I would not be surprised one bit, because this is, I don't know how to measure this on this chart, but this is, I don't think you just go up only forever, right? Like, markets don't move straight up or straight down forever. So yeah, like, I do think this is very, very likely, and maybe we just drift and then it's like pop, and then we move up together.
Yeah, and you see these bottoming areas like for the last, I don't even know how long, the last year or two, whatever, in Bitcoin. It's not, anytime it finds a bottom, it's not quick. You gotta grind. You've got to grind out the bottom and really, really feel pain. And this to me is, it feels like we're getting near the end, but it just doesn't feel like the end yet.
If we're just, you and I would love nothing more than to wake up tomorrow to a $5,000 candle, right? It'd be like, let's go. Yeah, all right, let's rock and roll.
Oh yeah.
But I think the reality is, or what I'm mentally prepared for, is not that, right? And it's, either maybe this started it here in the end of January and it's going to be like, this will last for a couple more weeks or whatever. But, it's just,
and I can tell you this, market, man,
what's up?
Well, I was going to say, I encourage everybody to do their own research, but I've done a ton of research on structures that look just like this. And when they go into a retrace, I could say almost unequivocally, it's not a V bottom. It's a grind. It has to grind out a bottom wherever the bottom is. And then you get a retrace. It could be a 0.5, a 618, a 702. I've seen them all, but it is not a V. It's not a V bottom rocket. You got to grind. Now after the grind out, yeah, you can get a nice move up, but this to me still does not feel like we've ground out that bottom yet.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Good.
That's what. That's why we keep going back to these even the fractal pattern or these other bottoms. We're expecting a double dip
because they work.
Yeah, because that's how markets
they're playing
work.
out. They're absolutely playing out.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's this was a V bottom, but it was right. That was the double dip of that consolidation period.
That's right, man.
After a grind.
Right. That's right.
So and that was a V bottom, but you double dipped, and it was a shorter grind, but it was still. That was 10 days, but yeah. Nothing about this market is fast. And it's been that way since, all of 2021. And granted, Bitcoin was going up. Alts were just kind of, they were going up and it got exciting, but it wasn't, it wasn't, everything that it wasn't like end of 2017 exciting, right? Didn't have the momentum to really pump everything to the moon. And then it fell back and then it had to grind again. Move back up, and this market just, and that's my grand theory, right? I keep going back to it. Since we have futures products, this is all I do say it's tied to the same computer. But dude, you watch this stuff tick by tick, and I sent that chart yesterday about the 4 markets in the overlay, and it's just this ticks with equities. Even on the one, you're watching the equity open and you're like, oh, we're down. Okay, Bitcoin's down. Of course it is. Okay, yeah. And they're so correlated right now, and they kind of move at the same speed right now. So until we can get, either extra capital, extra liquidity into the market, or until liquidity starts sloshing around inside the market, whether it's from the majors into the miners, for whatever reason, people have decided okay, we're going to make a run for it, whatever. The opportunities with the altcoins, right? So it's just really slow. And
you need well, we talk about this all the time. you need conviction, right, before you get anything.
Yeah.
And why do these fractals work so well? Because it's human beings trading for the most part. Of course, there's there's algos and stuff out there, but like these fractals play out because these patterns repeat based on human behavior.
Right.
So
That's
we
what,
need
that's
we
why we
need
study
humans
patterns.
to start behaving in a particular way. Right.
Humans.
Right.
Well, then what that means is that more people have to be convicted that it's a good opportunity to buy at these levels because
Right.
price will go up. Then people are convicted that it's going down, so they're going to sell at these levels, right? So that's how markets move. Really, it's on conviction of humans, whether it's programmed in a computer or not. Like humans control the computers, at least for today.
And the computers manipulate other humans. I mean, this is a give and take market, right? Like 100%, it's to manipulate people into losing their money.
Whoops. Oh, hold on. I need to type a message. So, somebody asked on Telegram, and I wanted to talk about it for a little bit, but about like, hey, do you look at like coin count and supply, whatever? And honestly, what I would say is I really don't. I look at price action and price and charts and patterns. And from a pure technical analysis perspective, price discounts everything, right? So, for example, if you were to look at the price of Bitcoin, then what you're saying from a technical analysis perspective, you're saying that that current price, if you do like a fundamental analysis, whether it's, on an equity like a company, you do like weighted average cost of capital discounting on their future growth or sales or whatever, you like discounted that all back. You do fundamental analysis, or you do like, like financial analysis on projections, but it's based on assumptions that you have. And all those assumptions are kind of baked into the price, right? So my whole thinking is that in a free market, if you will, where people are free to buy and sell at certain prices, that, like, for example, on the Bitcoin and the halving schedule is essentially baked into the current price. Although, yes, we do follow market cycles and whatever, but like, when you talk about like institutional adoption is going to happen, well, then that, like theoretically, all those future possibilities and potentials are discounted into the current price action, the current price, what that's worth today. So that's when I look at like a lot of these things I don't really consider, whether it's news or coin count or supply or that kind of stuff. Like, in my opinion, like the market prices everything in. The market prices everything that it's aware of in, and so that's baked into the price, and that's why I just look at the chart. And so if I like the chart, I like it, and whether the supply goes up or down, I mean, if it's a surprise, it can change things. Like if, for example, a lot of people are talking about a SHIB burn, right? Like, oh, burn 50% of supply or whatever. Like, yeah, that would definitely be a catalyst for a move if it was a surprise. But if people were like, here's our burn schedule, or like, here's our halving schedule, it halves every whatever number of blocks, right? So like everybody's aware of that. So like that is technically, you could think of that, like that kind of stuff is already baked in or priced into to the price, right? So I just look at price and patterns, and I trade charts, right? So that's, and then news is to me the same. I was thinking about this a little bit, but how, like, have you ever been around, have you ever worked with a reporter, like on a story for anything?
Yeah.
Okay. Like I have two, right? And so like I have just witnessed in my personal life many, 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 many times how wrong the reporters get either the facts or right, like from like, hey, this is what's going on, like, and I don't want to get too far into it because we'll get into like oil and gas and whether or not we're destroying the environment, right? But like I've seen it a lot. Right, they'll be like, this is happening, and then they show like they're gonna drill here, and then they show like a a pump jack, and you're like, that's not a drilling, like you're like, that's not
Yeah.
really the way it is.
Yeah.
And so like my experience anyways has been like reporters, like granted, like they're trying to get it right, but they have to cover any topic anytime and then like tell the news what's going on from a certain source. So like they'll do the best they can on a certain thing, but then yeah, I've just seen it so many times where it's like that's not really the way it works, or like that's not really right. Like, so when I see like news and stuff, I'm like, two things. One is I'm not sure it's the full truth. The other thing is that it's a lagging indicator, because more often than not, the news talks about what has happened or what people have said or whatever. And so when I go back to like things like TA and price, right? Like, well, all that stuff is already baked into the price. People, humans, expectations and convictions of value of something, and then their conviction. So the actions they take to, like, oh, it's cheap now, I'm going to buy it and it's going to go up, and then, or it's expensive, so I'm going to sell it. Right. So, that for me, it's the same with news. I'm like, I really don't need it. And, I used to watch a lot of CNBC because I thought that, even when I started many, many years ago, I used to take notes watching Jim Cramer, right? Like, oh, okay, like just trying to figure the market out. And so you plug in there and you're like, okay, like what are all these companies? I don't know, like these biotechs and stuff. I don't know what they do, whatever, but like, I don't know. So, but yeah, it's, you evolve over time and you're like, nope, don't need any of that. I just need the chart. Just give me the chart. Just give me the chart. Give me the system and give me the signals and I can trade it. Right. So
it's 100% true, man. You can look at a chart and basically what you're looking at is just human action. And the chart's going to tell you what's going on. You look at the Bitcoin chart and you go back to the sell-offs in the spring, and that should have told you everything, all you needed to know about what sort of structure was being printed. I mean, sell off, pump, sell off, pump, sell off, and then a smash. I mean, you could not, and I didn't know this at the time. We didn't know this at the time, but had we really been on our game, we could have gone back in history and seen this structure over and over and over and over and over, and sort of known what was coming next. A recovery, a double top, and then a fall. I say that with conviction right now because I've seen so many of these structures printed all throughout markets.
All in markets. So basically, it's like the topping structure that looks like this, and you and I have looked at dozens of these, right? And
I could
have this middle, like most of them have this middle lobe, right? And then they go on a slightly higher high, and then a fall back, whether it's here or whatever, down in here, and then, and this is just what we've seen in markets. A lot of like some current charts, but a lot of like either 2008 or whatever. And then you do get a retrace, but it's not straight up, right? It ain't up only. It's as slow as this whole thing created, right? It's like you do this and then you finally come back out and then you're done. So right.
And I mean, just if you got an hour, just anybody go to equities, go anywhere, just start pulling up charts from the bigger movers that you know of in every industry, and just take a step back and look at the chart in its totality, and you will see these structures. They jump out at you. You can't miss them. And then you start studying really close, and we've come up with multiple charts that look nearly identical to what Bitcoin's doing right now. It's not coincidence, right? It's not a coincidence.
Just it's almost like we went from 2017, which these 4-year cycles and predictive alt seasons and whatever, and now this is just like you have to trade the chart, and like this is like a market, and granted it's a market cycle, yes, but like you just have to trade the chart now. But yeah, you're right, man. And if you look at like some of the blue chips or some of the large caps, like in equities from like either 2001 you're looking at, or 2008, or even some today, like
even some current,
like you just see these and you're just like, I mean, like stuff like I don't know if it's Caterpillar or Boeing or Campbell's Soup or right, like just go look at old charts and look at weekly charts and be like, how did this structure unfold and how did that structure? And this is just looking like all of the other charts that we've looked at, and it's it's pretty.
And there's
crazy.
A reason why these work across markets. It's because it's the same creature that's interacting in all of these markets, right? This is all just human behavior.
Human behavior.
It works across the board.
Right.
If it didn't,
What's interesting,
you wouldn't see
though,
these structures showing up.
well, what's interesting is like, well, what about the concept that, well, like this is like it's new technology, you know, like I don't know. It's funny because like you hear and you see a lot, and especially when you like say you go on Twitter or whatever, or YouTube, whatever. But it's like everybody making their case for whatever on fundamental reasons, right? Like, like, oh, like, who was it? Fidelity just issued a paper and said that Bitcoin is better than fiat money or whatever. You're like, oh, okay, well, okay, that's great. So, what do you want to do? Buy because of that, or just stuff, and you're just like, like, just guys, just learn to read the chart, right? And
Totally.
That's
and as Bitcoin ages and the market continues to get bigger and bigger and bigger, it's just going to behave more and more like a traditional stock. It is right. I mean, it's going to be it'll be harder to move it around.
I mean, I would be surprised if it doesn't.
Moving slower.
I'd be surprised if it doesn't.
Right.
Once we get out here in time and whatever happens and we have expansion, whatever, I do expect it to be like more of a normal stock. And there are some things though that might change the environment, right? So, but I don't know, man. I mean, that's like, but you have countries adopting it. Okay, like it still did this, right? It didn't go to 100,000.
Yeah,
it didn't run to 100,000.
It's because there's such a tiny amount of actual use case for Bitcoin right now. Tiny.
Yeah.
You can't use it for anything.
Did you see Jack?
And you can argue with me until you're blue in the face, but like you can't really use it for much. And so until you it's still going to be just highly speculative. That's what it is right now.
And it's like, maybe it's a long-term stored digital value. Like, sure, I'll buy that. Sure, fine. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But like, this is, so have you ever heard the, well, first, I agree that, the use case, I mean, granted, it's a, we know intrinsically what it is, the blockchain, whatever, immutable, all that. But I went out and had to buy some stuff today. Like, did I use Bitcoin or did I use dollars? Right? Like, I mean, like Jack on Twitter, did you say like, yes, like he said, I have a miner at home and it's cool because I connected to Slush Pool, and then Slush Pool sent my reward or my mining rewards to my wallet. And then what he said? I went and bought a taco with it. And everybody's like, oh, look. And you're like, well, yes. Like, yes, you can do that. And like, there are places that accept Bitcoin. And so you go there with your phone and you say, boom, here it is in Bitcoin. And like, it's really cool. And like, I think it's, of course, I do believe blockchain is the future of everything. I do believe that it, like when you look at the tech and you look at the coding and everything, like it is so like, you can't fake it, right? Like once you have that transaction, like it's open source, everybody can see it, it's there forever, and you can't change it once you mine
so cool, man. It's
the next block.
It's the purest form of money.
But
totally.
People that fall, like you see that all the time, like they sell you on that fundamental, like this is whatever. And what they're not getting, in my opinion, is that this is traded on the margin. Do you know what that means? Like, it doesn't matter that you have all these wallets with 0.01 Bitcoin growing at this rate. It doesn't matter. That doesn't drive price, because the price is being driven by what's tradable. The tradable supply is being traded around, right? So it's like you have all this Bitcoin that are locked in wallets, whatever, cold storage, whatever. But what's being traded is the Bitcoin that's out there for trade, like on exchanges and such, right? So it's just, I hate to say it, but like when I hear people say like, oh, like fundamentally you see this use case or whatever, see like the growth of small wallets as being, like it has an exponential growth curve, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, that still does not fundamentally drive the price today, right? Like what drives the price today is conviction of people trading on the margin, right? So, like, I don't know, man. That's just the stuff you
Otherwise,
hear.
it would just be straight. It would just be up only, and you look at
straight up to infinity.
Look at that chart. There's so much distribution going on there, man. It's being traded by high level traders. Like they're not this is speculation. They're not holding on for the future because this is money.
They're
They're
trading
trading
the
this
market.
to make dollars.
Right.
That's right.
And it's a highly volatile asset. It's a great trading asset. Like if you, because it moves, right? So it's a good trade. But like, so yeah, the traders in the world are making money by trading this asset, and the holders are holding. And then they're getting basically like the on the margin trading is what you're seeing show up in the value of what you're holding. But, it's the same. I mean, like the same thing for, and I'm not a silver or gold expert, but it's the same thing about like, these guys that are like, silver's worth $600 an ounce and, it's so suppressed. I'm like, the truth is, the fact of the matter is that silver is priced on the market today at $22 an ounce. And you can complain about it. You can say why it shouldn't be, but the truth is that's what it is, right? And so if you think it's 600, then go buy it. If it's like it should be 600 an ounce, like, well, it's not. Like, so spend your time learning maybe to trade or like read a chart or like how to make money some other way, right? Versus like don't complain about like, I don't know, man. Sorry, you opened an old wound there.
No, I understood.
But it's like,
and I think I think the hodlers are gonna like they'll eventually be rewarded for holding on to Bitcoin.
Oh yeah.
When when Bitcoin's when the floor of Bitcoin is no longer who knows what the floor is this time after a correction 14,000 to 4,000 who knows
20
eventually they're going to be rewarded. Whatever. But right now, this thing is so speculative. It went up 1,600% in the last year or whatever it was, right? Like that's speculation, period.
Yeah.
That's all it is. That's it.
Right.
That's traders just manipulating the market and making big dollars.
Yeah. Yeah. And like,
big time.
It's a market. And every market's a market, right? Like, so what? Let's learn to trade it, make money. That's my take anyways. So
and to be fair, I love Bitcoin. I love it. I think it's awesome. I really wish it was our standard of money right now, and hopefully sometime it will be. But right now we're just trading.
Yeah, I mean, like that's what we're here for, right? I'm trading to make more dollars so that I can have more, right? Like buy more things or do whatever I need to do or live, and not to just stack Bitcoin. So
that's right.
Whatever. But yeah.
Hey, where were we anyway, man?
I don't know, man. I just wanted to show you the ICP chart because we're up 8% and it's showing a little bit of real strength today. So like down from the lows of $20. New low. So it's a new low ranged at 20. I just want to look at it real quick because if you guys have anything else, if you want to look at some charts or something, let's check it out. But interesting day on the ICP chart for volume. It kicked, it's having a real strength day for it today. But what was the one I pointed at that had really nice real strength? And I'll find it. But ICP off the bottom, nicely 1850. It did have nice real strength here late December. That's right, late December rally here. So, we just need Bitcoin to finish what it's doing here and to get bullish, in my opinion. And then we can start seeing. I mean, I really do. I think that what you're going to see is once we finally get, I think, a double bottom, and then we can ignite. And then we're going to, in my opinion, I do believe that we'll see, 20, 30% type days coming off the bottom, right? But it's going to be like, whoa. And then maybe we, like you're thinking, like it's not going to be just up 50% days forever, but like I think we jump, and then I think maybe it's we just keep growing and growing, and then I think alts can also run harder than Bitcoin too.
Definitely that's what's gonna. I mean, if we have an alt season, that's what you're going to see.
Yeah.
You'll probably see those 20-30% days just to sort of confirm the bottom is in, and then I think you will see select rockets, right? Like I think they'll start going off if we are in fact going into a retrace and we get an alt season that's similar to what we've had in the past,
right? Like where you get like EOS goes to $10 and you're like, what? Right? Or you get like more.
And XRP is like famous for coming out of nowhere, right?
XRP is famous for let's look at that chart real quick.
It just like it just kind of
Like
just
the dog-
meandering along and then just gone.
The dogs have another run, right? And you get things like,
Yeah.
you know, like Shib runs again. You're like, what? Or Doge, and you're like, yeah.
Yep.
Everything's just kind of
Yeah,
rolling.
man. We talk about so you know, this is not a targets channel, but we talk about, you know, fib extensions and trying to figure out, you know, where would be good places to get out of a chart. And like, yeah, the 4.236 is interesting. They're all interesting. But to be fair, in 2017 and 18, during the alt run, there were charts getting out to the 17, the 29,
13.
the 70, you know, like,
like crazy
way
stuff.
beyond the 4.2.
Yeah.
Like that can absolutely happen.
Yeah. And I was thinking of one, I think it was Sia Coin, because I saw something on Sia Coin. And like,
It had a massive run.
I don't have all the data here, but yeah, dude, like see it, like
that's like 10,000% or something.
Yeah, just like, so this is, well, that's 2021. I wonder if I get a chart from 18. This is Binance. I think I might have to go to like Bittrex or something.
Use go to
so check this. Let's look at this.
Yeah, there you go.
Let's look at what's possible. Let's look at what's coming your way. Right?
Yeah, Moon Boy.
Yeah, like that was the next coin, guys, right here. No, but look. Let's pretend that we're like Sia Coin maxis, and we're like, oh man, like it's 0.8 cents is that number. The bottom is 0009, so 0.0 whatever 9. What is it? 9 10 thousands. Anyways, so we came off the bottom, and it was like, man, Sia Coin, what a dog. And dude, let's look at this. Let's look at date and price. So let's just take it from right here. January 28th. This is 2021? That's what it says. I thought this is, dude, it ran harder in 18. I just don't have the data. Okay, it's just a 10x.
Use Coin Trader if you want.
I'm using Bittrex.
Yeah, there you go.
So yeah, the other site I go to, guys, is charts.cointrader.pro. And I don't know if I have a login here or not, but it's a good place. I used to do overlays here until I found out how to do...
Just gives you so much history.
Yeah, this basically has all history. So if I just do SCUSD, is Scientics? No. Maybe it's SIA. Let's do Sia Coin. Yeah, dollar.
SIA, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, SIA. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's go back to... Now we're looking at like... Sia Coin, dude. But I remember Sia Coin. I'll never forget.
Look at that
Sia
rocket.
Coin, it was like...
Look at that rocket.
Okay, this is like 0.3 of a penny.
Yikes.
To 11 cents. So like...
Yeah.
Go predict that, man.
Yeah, that's...
You're like, oh my... So is that a 28x? For some reason, I thought it was bigger than that. But yeah, like you have some of these
Me
stuff
too,
that's just...
but still a rocket.
Just Sia Coin. Digibyte was the same. I'll never forget it. Digibyte. Well, all the classics, right? Like some, especially the lower caps. Do you remember Vertcoin? Were you in the game? VTC, baby. Vertcoin.
I don't think I ever owned it, but I definitely owned Sia Coin. After that massive pump, I bought right in.
What about Luxcoin? Did you ever have any Luxcoin? You bought right in. I know, right?
That was your Lux Coin. You used to send me things on Lux, like, man, this is the next thing. Like
John McAfee was behind it. Yeah, I'm not even.
Yeah.
Well, let's do it. It's fun. Let's do it. Let's pull up the chart because I still have this. I don't even know.
Do you really?
Yeah, it's in the look. Look at this. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah.
So, dude, Luxcoin is at a penny.
Wow.
It traded as high as $50.
It's down to a penny.
Yeah. And like,
wow, man, that's
dead.
remarkable.
I mean, like, no, don't recommend anyone Luxcoin.
Is it still on? Can you still buy it on exchange?
I don't even know. I mean, it's still here. I mean, it's still trading, right? Like, there's still data.
Man.
Well, I say that. Look, the data disappeared, I think. Anyways.
Dude, look at that volume at the end.
Like the whole project.
Somebody like came in.
So this is
Yeah, it's
why
cooked.
you get Lux Coin Maxi guys, right? Like, because this
Yeah.
happens. Like
Right.
5560X,
Yeah.
and you're like,
55x.
I mean,
Yeah.
guys, Lux
Make
Coin's
a
coming
fortune on
out.
that.
And you're like, pow,
Literally.
pow, pow.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. And then you just sell it.
Yep.
You got to make sure you get out. You know, like, make sure you sell. And then people are like, oh, no, it's just cooling off. And then you peel back from 50 bucks to a penny. I mean,
Man,
I don't even know how much I have, but
that is crazy.
gosh,
Yeah.
I mean, like, there's no signal, right? You're like, hello. I
Right.
mean, is there another chart out there that looks as dead as Lux Coin?
Especially since it's already had like this unbelievable run. That's a remarkable chart, man. And that should be a lesson for everybody.
This is what can happen if you don't get out.
Sell.
Like,
Like,
oh, I'm just gonna hold through it. Like, well, especially, dude, when you're talking about micro caps like this that are spec projects and just nothing behind it, whatever. I mean, it's just like, that's what people are doing stuff with, like NFTs right now and whatever. I mean, like, they're minting stuff. I mean, like, you and I could create whatever. It's not that hard. Create our own coin and put it on Binance Smart Chain or whatever, and get it on PancakeSwap for like not even anything, and then you go shill it, and then it pumps and dumps to zero, and people like
Ioshi coin.
We could do Ioshi coin, and it'd have no value, and it'd be worth nothing, and it would have no utility, but it would be like something I could literally send you some Ioshi coin, and like, it's kind of cool to do, but like, if it like took off to 1,000x or something, I'd be like, everybody just start selling your Ioshi coin because it's worth, like, that's where you see these, like, you do see it on Twitter and stuff, but like these massive pumps, and then they'll show it in like massive rug pulls, dumps, like, because this is what, there's no liquidity, right? So like, what happens in these super low cap coins that go like, 1,000x or whatever, and then go back to zero, is the liquidity gets pulled, and it's called a rug pull. And it's where you get rugged. You get into something, whatever, it's a spec, and it's totally whatever. It's just, it's just, I don't want to say scam, but whatever. It's just, there's zero intrinsic value. There's no project. There's no anything. And it's just a fun thing that you're like, oh yeah, get into this, guys. Well, like, be careful. And that was that, man, I don't even know if it's on this chart system, but this Doge NFT, it was the first NFT for Doge that was tradable, and that was that weekend, right? That I like, let's just play around with this, and I made a 7 or 8x, and I'm like, I'm out, and I never looked at the chart again. Like, I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
That's right.
Like, I'm happy with my performance here. I'm glad with what happened. I'm good. I thank you. I'm done. I turned it off. I've never looked back. Right. So
that's
so
it.
dollars, let's see what's going on with the markets. Let's see what's going on with Bitcoin's just hanging in there right now, but it's just, I mean, it's not making any sort of meaningful moves at the moment. We did kind of bounce off this line, but let's see what see if equities are, I mean, they're still drifting up right now. So 45.85, we're looking at the 1 hour chart. Yeah, just continuing to print green candles. That's what's been hard I think for a lot of traders, is you're like, okay, I want to catch it. Like, look at this. So we're at the 618, right? Okay. And this, maybe this floor area, you look horizontally. This, so if I'm like, call this as, like, if I'm trading this is the day, this is the 1 hour chart. Okay. That looks to me like a floor turned ceiling. Like, basically that's support turned resistance, right? And I'm at the 618. There's a little confluence there, and I think there's an MA in here. I don't know if it's 50. It's not 50. That's the 50. Oh, that's hourly. So let's shift this real quick to daily. No, the 50 is up a little bit higher. See that? I don't want to like go through the deal about getting the 20 on here, but we already surpassed the 20. So anyways, that's the daily. So like, there's MAs ahead of you, whatever, but like, this area might at some point, like you said, and I agree with, I think that we're gonna maybe get, even if it's a shallow bounce, 618 to 0.5, right? So when you're trading this and you're looking at even lower time frames and you get like these wick breaks off this line, you're like, okay, here's our correction. Well, this is reversing way too fast. You know, like like I took a couple short trades and whatever, I got in and out, but it was short scalps that were, I got stopped out in profit, like for small, right? It was like, no, because what was I doing? I'm counter trend trading, right? Like this is a strong uptrend. And if you're in this area, right? So this is chop sideways. And it's very tradable. Like if you look at the time frames, like you have downs and ups and downs and ups. And you're like, okay, long signal, short signal, long signal, short signal. You take it and then you can actually manage a trade in there. But if you're going hard in one direction, like it's hard to say, like if you're going hard, say down. And you're like, okay, I'm gonna ride this and then I'm gonna play a reversal play. A reversal play is very hard in a strong trend because you don't have the opportunity to ride it for very long. So it's a scalp at best. And honestly, you're better off just sitting in position and being like, just ride it until it stops. Until you see the chart breakdown.
Definitely.
Right. So if you see if we start breaking these lines, and I want to show you what I'm looking at in futures, because I think that something might be an epic short coming at us. But yeah, I think that it'd be interesting because we're here at 618. And so, do we get this drop and a bit coupled with a Bitcoin drop? Because that would be significant. We even saw it hourly today. Like today, equities opened under pressure. Bitcoin was under pressure, right? Like they track. Oh, yeah. So if S&P falls from
happens
here,
almost every time, man.
Yeah.
Every time.
If equities fall from here, then I think Bitcoin gets a double bottom, and then like maybe we can move up again, and then Bitcoin kind of like gets a little bit of sideways strength or whatever, and then starts trending. But yeah, like anyways, I want to show you on futures. Let's go to the daily on CL. This is crude. Look at this. I'm just like sitting here waiting. I'm just like, it's a strong uptrend, but like you said, right? Like strong, like let's look at this strong uptrend, sideways at the top, kind of a high, and then an attempt at a new high failed. That's where you look at, when we look back at it, it looks kind of sideways, right? So it doesn't just go straight up, straight down necessarily. Like this one kind of did that. But more often than not, you see a trend, either distribution or accumulation. Kind of go sideways and then a trend. Here again, trend up. You had chop at the top, couldn't make it, failed, broke down. I kind of expect this to happen the same way, right? So, excuse me, when I'm looking at CL for crude, I see this long line here. I know it's a diagonal, but we can maybe put some fibs on here. But if we come up here, if we can make it up here, this is $92, $93, right? That's why I know everybody in the world is calling for 100 to 120. But I look at this chart, I'm like, okay, well, on the chart, I wouldn't be surprised to get one of these and maybe even a higher high on, say, a lower RSI, like a weaker high. So that means it's a weaker high. And then once that breaks down, man, nice short opportunity. Right? So
I like it.
Just the stuff that I'm looking at, but
yep. Absolutely.
Man, I hope that link got to everybody. Sorry guys about the technical problems today. I have to go and polish off my skills on streaming. So much to it. I was so focused on Phil being with us today that no, I just
you did a lot of Phil work.
I did. I set it up and then I forgot how to, because you can schedule it and then you go to it, and I guess I didn't do something right or something. So anyways, up only, man, live and learn. So we've got let's see, anything real strength today. On the downside, Dragon, RBN, Elon, YFI down, CRV down. But on the upside, ICP, VIDT, NEO, NEAR, SNX, Floki, QDM. Yeah. So here we are, man. We'll just see what happens.
Choppy day. I think,
man,
I think you're right. And I think, to get through it, like that futures chart or that the S&P chart's interesting because to get through not only one area of resistance but two, like you have like you said, you have confluence, you have a 618, and then you have that previous floor turn ceiling. Like to get through something like that significant, or significant pattern on the chart, you need a lot of momentum. And what's interesting is that as it's building up, it's losing momentum, right? But to me, it seems like an obvious area to reject.
Yeah,
and have to regain steam and then finally power through that. But it just seems to coincide perfectly with what we think Bitcoin's going to do. Like just a little rollover
right.
in the S&P, Bitcoin does its little rollover, and then you would see probably a big green candle on the S&P to get through that area of resistance. And I think that would probably help Bitcoin move out. Like it just seems like an obvious connection.
It seems like that story would make so much sense, right? Like that's why I kind of painted it even yesterday, and I agree. But look, like I was thinking, like, well, let's go look at some past, like blow through a 618.
Yep.
Because I was thinking, like, you're right. Because coming off, like, dude, it takes a lot of energy to come right off the bottom, straight up only, and break through all your 618 fibs and everything without even a bobble, without even like. Taking a little bit of a break and strengthening. But if you go back and look at the past, like in September, we blasted right through all the fibs and just kept going up only. Right. So we didn't stall.
And then, right. And so when you do that, you get the obvious next move, right? Which is what? You got to go back and retest. So like that, to me, like that, and that,
like
that
retest the bottom.
Go back and retest those areas that you blew through. Like if you pull up the chart, that area you're just looking at, right?
Oh,
look
like
at the correction that came down.
Yeah. So like you blew straight through, and then you came back.
Damn
through,
well
like,
believe you're coming back.
883 or whatever it is, right? Like that is. Yeah. 883 something. Like you came below the 1. That's an interesting analysis, and I wonder, because you blew straight through. You came back, confirmed it as a floor, and then you made that. So then here, I mean, like, I'd be surprised if we do that. I really would. But then again, don't be surprised, be surprised. Right? So, but I see...
Totally.
I see a 618. I see an old floor area, an old resistance. What I'm expecting is, like, you laid it out. Like, I'm expecting bounce off 618, take a little bit of a break, maybe have to regain some strength. This right here is where Bitcoin finally does a dip and then has to regain some strength and then come out. I just wouldn't be surprised if that happens. All right, not making predictions, but that's how I see it. Would be likely to be.
Well, that's what we can do right now in Chop, right? Is we can just try to predict what's going to happen. I mean, really, that's all we can do, or we could just sit around and do nothing. So really, that's like you have two options.
I'm gonna build skills, man. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing. Is like building skills, building content, build, right? Like, so what am I working on in this? On my trading game. I'm working on my mental game, my trade management. I'm taking trades, seeing if I can stick to my rules or how much my emotions take over. Like that again. Like I'll look at a trade and be like, oh, this goes up. Well, wait, time out. Like you just said, I think. And that's not like a signal. You didn't rely on your system to say, like, this is my system that I trade upon, and I trust my system more than I even trust myself now. So I'm going to say, like, if I don't have a signal, I don't take a trade, even though I think I know what's going to happen. Like, because I'm like, I'm a chart master, whatever you want to call it. Like I'm like, no. Like every time I do that, like things don't go well. Then I say, well, I'm good. Then I don't need to do a stop and whatever. And I'm like, okay. That's you're operating outside of your rules and your system, so stop it, right? And like that's when you're gonna lose. Like you have to like follow the rules that you made for a reason, and that's when my equity curve goes up into the right, dude. Is like I follow my rules. I put my stop on there. I manage the trade. If I get stopped out, it's an L, but it's a 1R. If it's anything better than that, I manage my stop. I bring it in, and then I try to catch the run, but I just take a W. Put it in the stack, go to the next one, and wait for the setup, and then go to the next one. You take your trade, and then as long as I'm just methodically operating like a robot, basically it's just methodically executing my trade system in the market, I can do pretty well. It's when I'm like, when I'm thinking like days like yesterday, I'll be honest, like days like yesterday when I'm like, oh man, here's our correction, here it is, here it is, here it is, watch this. And then I'm like, oh, watch me put my stop. I'm gonna leave some room for this to run. So my stop was like way behind me. But when it turns and you're not ready, you're just like, okay, once you apply your trade and you apply your stop, your decision is essentially over. Except for you have to manage your trade management rules, right? But your decision is done.
Yeah.
Like you've taken the decision. Like you fired the bullet. It's out of the barrel. It's gone. And
Right.
so then you're like, I either stop out or I work into like a 1 hour, 2 hour type. Like I get into some profit to where I'm like, okay, at 2 hour I go to 0 with half off, or at 2 hour I go to 1 hour, whatever, right? Whatever your rules are. Then you say, okay. But yeah, whenever it's like every single time I'm like, oh no, dude, this is gonna correct. It just looks toppy. Well, that's great, but you know, it's great. It's a great way to get wracked when you start
Yeah, no, I hear
operating
you.
on
Yep.
right.
Thinking.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Just like, what do you think? Well, that's not how to be consistently profitable as a trader.
Yep. Yep. And right now, like, to be fair, I'm not playing a day trade game. You know, I've obviously spent a lot of time, you know, with you and trying to learn and all this, but like I am currently trying to just navigate this crypto market where it's been long-term holding, right?
Mhm.
And so
Yeah.
we can speculate all we want, but we're not, you know, I'm not actually making trades based on just this pure speculation. I really just want an opportunity to exit this market so we can do some different stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, until that point comes, all we're going to do is really just try to predict and,
Right.
you know, whatever else we're doing on the side.
Exactly, dude. And that's where you and I are like,
Yeah.
That's when you and I are like, I'm just getting sick of predicting, right? Like,
Yeah, it's getting old.
It's getting old. It's really getting old, especially if,
Yeah.
Oh, MZ Tech, thanks for joining. So the signal is black and white, no opinion involved. Yes, that is correct. In my system, it's either a signal or it's not, and it has to be confirmed. So that's the thing.
Yeah.
And I could show you. I I was thinking about starting to do some of this stuff, like maybe live streams, just do like live trading and just like at least just, you know, voice over on my thoughts, my thinking process, or what I see, and then how I execute and how I apply. But yeah, so a lot of times, and this happened to me even this morning, I didn't get a confirmed signal. And what happened was, and let's take a look real quick. But we are going to circle back to this DJI chart. Don't forget that. So let's look at, I want to show you what happened this morning on, I think SPX will pick it up. If not, we can go to futures. Let's try futures. It's delayed. It's delayed, but that's fine. Let's go to let's do a slow 5-minute chart. I want to show you what happened this morning. Okay, this morning was, I'm trying to think back in time. Let me pull up RSI. I think it was in here. Okay, I think, yeah, I don't know, this doesn't look right. So let me just answer this another way instead of trying to show you exactly what I was looking at this morning. But like, yeah, a lot of times in real time, you won't get a confirmed signal. You'll get a false breakdown or breakup. And so that's why I wait for the candle close. Right? So because even, let's just say, for example, oh, I don't know. Okay, let's look at this area right here. We're going to look at this area right in here. I'm just kind of making this up right now. But let's just say that you had, so look at this, see this wick right here? So this wick was a higher high, right? So you broke above this wick level, you broke above this wick level. Okay, so you made a higher high, right? Mm-hmm. But the candle body was here, yes. So you could have said, okay, you know, I have a rule system that says like when I break above something, you know, I go long. So I clear a level and I go long. You saw this wick up. So you did, during that 5-minute period, you did see the candle body in this area. However, if you would have taken that, it would have fallen back on itself to here, only to fall back further. And so that was not a good signal. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, on the signal system, and let me try to sketch it a little bit so you can see how I work out my system. But yeah, you have, like, I wait for confirmation, and it has to be on both price and RSI, and then I know why, dude. This is crude. I know why I didn't look good because it was crude, but we don't have to go through it all again. My point is, like, when you can have wicks of candles and they can fake you out, and you can get like a quasi signal on the body, but then it closes and it'll say reverse. So basically, like, if you were saying like this wick and you're, like, I'm short, but then you have a reversal, you need confirmation on both your price and RSI in my book. So you have to wait for the candle to close, because a lot of times, see, like, for example, and this isn't real time, or this isn't like, this is real time. See this RSI? I wish I could blow it up. I think I can, but it's ticking around. It's moving around. See, up, down, up, because it hasn't closed yet. And so that's that tick that can give you a false breakdown of when you're you're looking for a break of something, and the RSI, it'll dip below the line, but it won't close below the line or above the line if you're looking the other way. So yeah, it has to be in my opinion, it's black and white signal on on my system on breaks and breaks. And that's what I do, is I play a break and break trend line system, where it's I need both. Let's say, for example, and this wasn't, like, we talked a little bit about strong trends and being careful about being counter to strong trends. For example, this right here, and we can use bodies, it's okay. But if I was trading, or like analyzing this in real time, I'm like, okay, I'm trending. Okay, I got a break. Like, we did get a body break below it, and then there is, like, we're below it. So I broke price, and I got a breakdown on this candle right here in real time. And we should do bars, it'd be kind of cool. But, like, when you're looking at this in real time, that's what you see, right? So that's a signal, but it has to be on the close. So if it didn't actually see, like, some of these other wicks came down and didn't close below it, so I wait for close on the signal, and then it plays out. But, like, when you're in such a strong uptrend, you got to be careful, because, like, these don't just go straight down to zero, right? Like, it's teeny little scalps that, like, you can work your stop, and you got to be quick. But we're in such a strong uptrend that it's really hard to do a counter trend reversal. But the one I pointed this out yesterday, but man, this was tough. I'll be honest, this was tough. This was tough. You had these, look at these, this was tough until it wasn't, and I'll show you why it wasn't. But, like, look at this. Okay, so you had the open. This is open right here. You fell out, and then you chopped, and then you had a big bearish bar here, and then you get this massive chop back up, then back down, and you're not trending. You're going sideways, but you don't know that in real time. So you're thinking, oh, here we go, and then it's like, no, here we go, back up, and you got to be just massively on your toes. And it all goes pretty quick. And then it was really boring until right here at 2 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock New York time, when you broke through this level right here. And look, you in real time, you could have drawn that out, right? So you had that's a bullish pattern, bullish continuation pattern. When you broke this level right here at 45.13, long and strong, look. That was the push we got yesterday into close. From 2 to 3 into close was a massive. I think that was 40-point push, about a 40-point push. And then futures overnight just drifted up. I'm like, this thing is not turning around, right? And so when you got this stuff, even today, it's like, man, this is tough. If you're a day trader trying to, trade, this is tough, because the trend is so straight up.
Yeah.
And then you're thinking, okay, at some point, I think we do turn around, but you go that way. And look at these reversals, man. When you go short and you're like, pow,
that thing looks like a
short pow.
Yeah, that thing looks like it wants to turn around.
This was this morning, and I was trading with a good friend of mine that we were talking about. I'm like, dude, I got stopped out in profit again. Like, I got stopped out. It was funny because I wrote him, and he was like, I saw you typing and I knew exactly what you were gonna say, and I'm like, what's that? And he's like, you and I both stopped out. I'm like, yep. You're like, because you take your position, you whatever, you got a signal, you break, say like this level or something, you got a signal, and then you're like, okay, let's work it, and then you're like, pop, you're out, and you're like, you're out. So, just, it's on your toes stuff, but that's MZ. I hope that explains that, but that's kind of the process in a nutshell. To answer your question, yes, for me, it's I need confirmation because I've had, every time I say like, oh, we're gonna break this RSI trend, watch. Like this happened to me, I think last night when I was like, I didn't even do anything. I was just like, I think I could look at this RSI fading. If we break, look, this is a perfect example of getting chopped up when you're in an uptrend. See when you broke this? See that ledge you kind of fell off? Right there. Like, dude, look at that. It's a perfect short. Look. Or, like RSI, whatever, we kind of broke this level. We popped off the ledge. We fell out of the bottom. That did not give you much opportunity, right? Because the bulls were right there to buy it. So there's no room. I mean, like, so you're better off trading with a macro trend, right? And you'd be like, no, I just buy the dips. You buy the dips in the uptrends. You're like, I just buy the dip and float up with it. But how do you know that? That's just like a lot of just, trading stuff. But hope that helps. Man. It's fun, man. I've been really, like I tell you, but really just digging on the trade management side. So there's a range between like all or nothing, set and forget style would be get a signal, you take a position, you let it go. And then you either stop out below you or you get some target level that's like 5 or 10 risk to reward above you, right? But that's like, I don't know, like, so that's one end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum is like a very short time period management style called bar by bar, which is like you manage your stop down, on a series of bars, every bar closes and then you do something, and bar closes and you do something. And you shoot for like let's say you have a risk behind you of a couple percent. So you're shooting for like your the couple percent in the positive direction. So, that is like the most micromanagey hands-on way to do it. And the other way is the most passive, like just let it run. So that is a spectrum. And what I'm doing is like, I need to get like a lot of shots on goal so I can try different things so that I can really dial in what works for me and my personality. Right. So like, cause every person's different.
Well, that's just the classic engineering style. We talked about it earlier today, man. Yeah. Like you're building a system and you're testing it, and long after my eyes glaze over, you're like, no, I got 48 more hours of testing. And then when that's done, you're like, no, I didn't test enough.
It's so funny, dude, because it's so true. Because an engineer will test it till death, and then like everybody else is like, oh, we're ready to go, right? I'm like, no, I need to do more testing.
Yeah, you can.
Like, I haven't tweaked this one variable over here to refine that. It's so funny, dude. That's so true. I'm like, no, I just need to run this. I need another 40 trades to get this series of tests with these variables changed, everything else fixed. I want to change this one variable at a time. But yeah, that's what what I'm doing.
And honestly, like because I know you so well, and I think your system will eventually be. Yeah, it probably works just fine all the way down on every intraday time level. But like the daily, like your system will be tested and tested and tested on these short time frames. And you're gonna know, like you're gonna have seen every last scenario. Mm-hmm. But like when you get on a larger time frame and you get more obvious trends, and the rules actually work much better because the errors are off. Are smaller, right? Maybe I'm not sure I'm saying this right.
No, you're right.
But like you will have tested it so much that if you follow these rules, your hit rate is 63% or whatever it is, right? But like that's part of building a system, is going through this ridiculous 5-minute stuff where like almost nobody will do that. And that's why nobody's
choppy,
creating
noisy, whatever.
Like who creates trade systems in their spare time, right? Like not very many people are going to do that. Mm-hmm. But like that's why you'll know, like, hey, look, when I go to day trade, like trading a daily chart using the hourly or whatever, that's like as easy as it gets, man. Like it's like there's no real
exactly,
chop.
Dude. You show me like a daily, you show me a daily chart, and I'm like, oh, you go long there.
Yeah.
You come out of like this 5-minute trade hole. Come out of your bunker, the 5-minute trade hole that you're like gaming, 10, 20 plus whatever trades a day. You're just like analyzing every single one. And you come out and you're like, yeah, that's a short. I'd short the market right here, guys. Like that's a top. Or you're like, yeah, go long right here. Like, because it's like, dude,
I'm looking. But we talked about it, right? Like when you're on the 5-minute. Oh, dude, and when you're looking at the 5-minute, if you're trying to build a system, like the margin for error goes through the roof. So can you really use that as are your rules really working?
That's the thing.
Error margin is so big.
That's the thing, man.
But you have to understand that you got to go and use the system just to see what's possible, so that you can go back onto a bigger time frame and understand what's probable.
Right, but also remember that if you are on, like, that's why I was like, I got to run this on, say, the 15-minute, because like if you start rolling like your trade count and say you get to like 20 or 40 trades on the 5-minute. Like it doesn't really scale like that. Like then you have to go to the 15-minute and try, and test the same thing on the 15-minute, and then you go to the hour. But see, like the reason why I was doing 5-minute was because I'm, like me, I'm trying to accelerate this shots on goal so I can get more trades in my distribution, so I can quickly hurry up and analyze it. Right. So like I'm doing stuff, then I'm like, wait, hold on, this doesn't really reflect reality. Let me go to the 15-minute, and then like. So, and then what I'm doing is, even within that, I'm like, okay, now I have to fix my trade management, right? So like what I want to do is I want to test my system and get some results on 20 to 40 trades. And then I want to look at my trade management approach, but I need to fix that so that like every trade I've done the same thing. And then I can measure my results, whether my distribution of R, my outcome, my win-loss ratio, all those things, right? So then I can say, okay, this system has been tested through all these scenarios. Like I really feel good about it, and we're going to run it on this, but then like watch for that. And like, I tweak my rules. And then that's honestly, dude, that's when you get to like, that's when, once you do that, and like what I've done even in the last few months of development is like, that's why you start trusting your system more than your own, like, what do I think is going to happen? Right. Because like, you've built a system, you've analyzed it, you've tested it, you've studied it. So then like, why are you going to go ahead and be like, no, like, we're going to go long here because like we're going up. I know it. Like you don't do that stuff anymore. Like once you're like,
and
trusting
you almost have to get to the point too, where like when you're okay, like let's say we're testing a system here and you don't actually have real money in play. The beauty behind that is like, you can try something. It's actually great to get a loss, because you can mark that into the history of your system, right? And it's not, now that your results aren't going to be skewed one direction or another. You're actually like thankful, like, look, I had this opportunity, I got the loss, I added into my stats, and now I'm actually getting real-time data, right? On how good the system actually is.
Right. Because you need to know the truth.
Like, so my point is though, it takes the emotion out of trading. Like when you're trading live, you're going to see a trade that's going, it's going down or whatever. It's not working out for you. And instead of applying emotion and doing something silly, you just understand like, hey, look, I got stopped out, whatever. That's just part of the data. And there's no emotion. It's just like, this is just what's this part of the system. And we just keep moving forward. Exactly. Bang, bang, bang. One trade after
exactly.
Another. Yeah.
Well, you and I both know, even whether it's, like roulette tables, when they have that sign where it's like, we went red 30 times or like 10 times in a row. And you're like,
yeah,
guys, guess what? The probability of a red is the same as a black on the next one. Right?
Yeah.
So that's why you can flip heads 10 times in a row. Like, because the probability of heads and tails is the same every time. And they're not correlated. They're not linked together. Right. So like, that's why when you're focused on a series of trade approach versus trade by trade, that's why you're like, dude, I could lose 5 in a row. Like statistically over time, I'll win 12 or 14 out of 20, like 60 to 70, maybe 80%, maybe on maybe the 1 hour, I can get to 80%. But like, yeah, when you're like, I'll get 12 out of 20 on average over time, but I might go 8 in a row and then 12 in a row. And that's when you get into those periods where like 8 in a row, golly, same setup, same look, same whatever. And you're like, I take this trade, because you don't know whether it's going to win or lose. You're like, I take the trade. When I see this, I take the trade on my setup, and then I work it this way. But whether it's a winner or loser is up to the market. and that's it's not predictable. So yeah, that's when you go like 5 in a row and you're like, oh, what's wrong? And you're like, dude, you have to keep going. Like, get more, like typical engineer, right? I need more data.
Yeah.
Like, keep going. Like,
But like
you're
that's the you've hit the I think you've hit the ultimate when you are emotionless and you have a system that works.
mm-hmm.
But how easy is it to get there? Not easy. It's not easy.
No,
It requires so much testing and discipline, and like, yeah, it's just very, very few people are willing to put in the work that it takes to get there.
Right.
And so maybe day trading is not for everybody, right? But maybe taking longer, like I see a beautiful setup and I'm going to take a weekly trade, right? And you don't have to manage it so meticulously.
Right.
Right. But that, to me, that's like, understand, learn the system, have some rules, and you can take 2 or 3 trades a week, where I think you could be really successful doing that.
Yeah.
Not you, anybody, right? Like anybody can do that.
Or like, and that's what I'm, like the content I'm building and working on is like, I did not, when I started, I didn't know how to read a chart. I didn't, a chart didn't speak to me. Like, I was doing, my story, I was doing like options trading on an app with like what I thought was going to happen. That's like the worst thing you can ever do. Like, no wonder I lost like everything, right? Like, just sitting here thinking like, spies going up. Yeah, let's go long on, let's buy some calls. And okay, yeah. And then you're like, oh no. And you're like, oh, I don't want to lose anymore. Stop. Like, I wasn't like, wow. And I think, and coming from a pretty educated person, right? And so like, but like the average person is not familiar with charting or reading charts, but they can learn, and it's something that I want to help people with, right? Like, I want to be like, like to a friend or a family member, be like, hey, have you ever learned to read charts? Or are you interested? Like, well, no, I haven't. And it's like, well, let's, if you're interested, I can help. And so that's what I want to do, is help people. And, I think we can. So, here we go.
Absolutely. And I totally, I mean, I can't endorse that enough, to learn how to do this on your own. I'm just thinking, like, I have a former player of mine who is, he lives in a different country, but he's a broker now. And, no offense to him,
like a stockbroker.
I love him. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, he's doing something in Forex, and, this is a 22-year-old kid. And, I just can't even imagine, getting financial advice from this guy. And if you didn't know anything, and you called a broker to get advice, and like this guy was giving you advice, and he's a smart enough guy, and he'll find his way, but he's just getting started.
But he's like an official guy, like say like Merrill Lynch or Morgan Stanley or whatever. Dude, call my broker.
I know how much work I've done. I'm pretty sure I know how much work you've done, and it dwarfs what he's done. I know, because he just got out of college.
And he's a broker. They're not traders, right?
Right. But
they're told they're not
if
traders.
You knew nothing and you had no authority, you could call somebody about like that and be like, hey, what do you think?
Mm-hmm.
That's why you need to know this stuff on your own. If you're going to get involved in this area, man, you got to know some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You have to.
At least the basics. Are we in a bull market, a bear market? Are we correcting? What phase of a market are we in? Support resistance basics, trend line basics, just some basic stuff. So so that you feel like I can pull up TradingView that's free. And like I can go to TradingView and I'm going to pull it up and look at a chart. And, actually be like, just check it out and be like, where are we in a cycle? Are we way up high? Is it, or are we, way down low? And, man, it's, yeah, thinking through like my evolution from Kramer to now, yeah, like I need to help people get there too. But like you said, like, what I was thinking through, like when you said that story about your broker friend, what's funny is that if you call him, don't you think like, well, he should know, right? Like,
yeah, of course.
Well, of course he knows about like, hey, what do you think about Amazon stock right now? Like, well, you're a broker, right? Yep. You should know, like, so then they're like, hey, like,
good time to buy.
And then you're like, like, but yeah, that's what, like trading is, so there's market, we know there's, there's market analysis, there's market technicians, and then there's traders, and they're different. But like analysts do like all this analysis and fibs and Elliott wave and whatever fractal work. They're analysts. But then a trader, it's different. So what I plan to do with Jedi Oshi is to first and foremost help people get comfortable with charting, with reading markets and cycles and charts, and like let's learn the fundamentals. Let's learn support resistance. Let's learn some patterns. Let's learn some basics so that when you look at a chart, you can start pointing these things out for yourself. And that's really what it's all about, is helping people to empower themselves, right? Helping people to be comfortable with looking at a chart and making their own assessment for whatever that's worth, right? But like to start thinking for themselves, right?
Yeah.
So that's what, and I think, you know, I know a lot of people I talk to, like I've never really spent time with charts, and it's not common that people do.
And especially, man, it's interesting too, because I fell into this category from the start. Like, I'm pretty disciplined in a lot of areas of my life, and I don't give control to stuff to other people in my life very easily at all. And yet here in this one important area, I was in that camp, and just because I was uninformed, I didn't really know what I was doing, and I was like, man, I think, you know, I think we're going to the moon. But like anymore, it's just a lot of people do that, right? Like ultra disciplined people, like people who are, you know, like they've got their self buttoned up. But you get into this arena, it's like, well, I really want to be in this arena because I want to make money. I don't know anything, but I don't want to miss out. So I'm going to take calls from somebody else. Like it doesn't work, right? For most people, like eventually you're gonna get to that point where you're like, no, I need control. If that's how you are in any area of your life, you're gonna want control back, which is what it was for me.
Yeah.
But that, to me, like that's it. It's about gaining control of your life in every area, like to start with, and then you'll have the same exact system that you use for everything else when it comes to investing. Like, all right, well, I don't know anything, so I better start learning before I do anything stupid. And so that's where I am at now, because I've already done plenty of stupid things, and I'm sick of it. Like, I'm not doing that anymore. Yeah. And so that's what's led me here.
I'm with you, man. It's a good, I mean, like, yeah, I think we all have to get there though, right? Because mine too. Yep. You know, I went from like, you know, why I got into crypto was more of a fundamental fear of a crash in the dollar, and you better get into crypto because the dollar is going to fall apart tomorrow. And then it was to like, look at the opportunity, and wow, this market really moves. And then it was, you know, and then it was like, you know, like this guy must know, and like that guy must know, and whether he's on YouTube or in a DM group I was in, or many of those, right? Trying to find guys, and I would see like analysts and like TA guys in some of these groups that were like the stud guys that were like showing like their charts and whatever, and I'm like, man, like, how do you get there? And then, you know, just over time, you're like, wait a second, hold up. Why can't I have my own opinion or my assessment, right? And then I'm like, well, why can't anyone else? Like, you get to this point where you're like, this isn't rocket science. And, you know, like charting, there's an art to charting, and there's analysis. And then you look at probabilities and everything. But then like I got to the point where, yeah, like you need to have your own read on this thing. Like if you're going to go the distance with all of this and like whatever, like you need to have an assessment. Like, so what's your assessment? Yeah. Right. So that's where I got to, and I'm like, yeah, dude, it's like, stop. Like, let's, and then after time, it was like, okay, now you have an idea of a system. You have a system that you've tried to program. You have an assessment, like run with it, man. Like really, like, let's go. So that was cool. But check this out, man. And this is like, it's hour 45, so we won't go too long, but dude, look at this fractal, right? So let me zoom out. I'm going to take RSI off. This is the overlay. Dow Jones stay in the green and red bars. Blue is 20s, right? Guess what happened, dude? Look, just like what we were talking about. And I just pulled this up today. First time ever. And granted, I mean, it's not following it exactly, but like structurally, this is a follow, right? It's a chop at the top, a chop at the all-time high. We had a higher high. Look at that on the blue, just the blue. We had made a higher high, and then we sold one last sell off, and then we went to blow off top. Look at this. Yeah. look at look, even this one, like on the Dow, it didn't go up only, like didn't go straight to like straight there in one monthly candle or one weekly candle. Like, look at that turned around. So this, I just saw this and I'm like, ah, there it is. Like this, and then something like that. We continue up. But yeah, if we get this next few days, don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if equities, just cool off for a little bit and refuel, and Bitcoin drops, and then when we go back up, and I think that's when Bitcoin can go up.
Man,
interesting though to see that in the fractal, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, there is.
Yeah.
It's not just straight up, because I didn't know, like in my mind, I was thinking that no, it's pretty much straight up.
Interesting. Dude, hey, can you move the fractal up away from, so it's not overlaid, and let's put a fib on that.
Okay.
Where it turned around.
Oh, on the fractal itself? Yeah, put a fib on the fractal. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's stretched, so the math works. It didn't make it to the 618.
Yeah.
0.5.
So, right. Which, yeah, I mean, so considering S&P is at a 618, I would say that's a pretty obvious area to reject. But if you look at the fractal, if you were to run a horizontal line across that, you're going to see a spot. There's an obvious spot for a turnaround there.
Yeah, let's look at that.
Yeah, so look at that range right there. That was resistance, then it turned into support, and then once again broke down below.
So it started here.
It doesn't.
It's not the clearest thing in the world, but like I can see it. Like
it's a range.
It's a range. It's an area. It's an area, right? Go in this area.
That's it.
I sold back off. Nope, bulls are taking it. Here we go. And here.
I don't think these horizontal areas don't have to be perfect. I've seen this too many times, but that to me, I'm eyeballing it. It looks like an obvious place to me where it would turn around and have to retest.
It's like right above the 0.5.
It happens so often.
Yep. Where are we on the Dow? We're above the 618.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a strong bounce, man. Approaching 35.6 right now. Yeah. Look at this we're closing in 13 minutes. That's another big 3 marching soldiers. So, and we can look at that
and run a horizontal.
Run a
horizontal across that.
Oh yeah, look at that. Where we are right there.
Yep.
Where we are today, and we're above it. But yeah, it was look ceiling. I guess on that candle ceiling we broke.
Don't be surprised if that thing turns around, man.
Like tomorrow. Yeah, maybe tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's what we're going. Like, I'm gonna short it tomorrow. Like, well, we're gonna short it today too. Like, just take your signals, right? Like. Right. Make sure you catch your long signal and then try to catch a trend. But yeah, dude, that's 2 interesting things here. Yeah, the fractal has a little bit of a stall here before we go to new all-time highs. And we're above the 618 on the Dow. I think we looked at the S&P? Was it above or below the 618?
Below, just below.
Right. Okay, but then let's see where we are. Just take a look at it real quick. All right,
that's a strong move.
We're almost at 4,600. This is because, dude, that move. Look, there we are. Look, it's going to close high a day.
Mm-hmm.
If you close high a day, look, this move off this level. We looked at this in the lower time frame. This pattern right here, that was 4,500. No, 4,520. It's about a 100-point move since yesterday. Close or hour to close. So it's just bulls are just marching. That's right.
Yep.
So let's go back to, bulls are marching. Let's do a fib on this real quick. Look at that, kissing the 618 right now. Okay. Interesting. Above 618. Okay, cool. Now on Bitcoin, let's look at NASDAQ real quick.
What are you on there? Are you on daily on that?
Yeah, daily.
So that's the other thing about horizontals, right? You gotta start with a monthly and work your way back, see all the levels. So I mean, that's right. Who knows what's out there, right?
So NASDAQ,
so it might run past the 618 on the Dow, but there might be something right above that on a weekly or a monthly that slows it down. Who knows? You just never know.
For horizontal levels,
right?
So check this out. The NASDAQ opened gap up and then sold off initially, and then now it's back. Huh, interesting.
Yeah.
These index, I mean, like, they all act a little differently, right? But just seeing strength here. We're just not seeing it yet at Bitcoin. So man, I just would not be surprised to see our theory play out. I really wouldn't.
Right.
We've got the fractal pattern, equity. So equities take a little bit of a breather. Maybe it's a few days. So it's Wednesday, say Thursday. Watch this. Thursday, Friday, maybe a little bit of whatever. Bitcoin maybe sells off. So maybe next week we're going up. After maybe we dip into the weekend, and then we move up starting next week. Yeah, we're selling off on crypto right now. Why have it on? Well, we're still at 1,200. Yeah, Bitcoin's not getting any. Look, Bitcoin's not getting the love.
Right. Nope.
That's what's interesting,
nope.
right?
Not there yet, man. We're not there yet.
Not there yet. No, not there yet.
Doesn't feel like it. Yeah. I think we got to, if I don't know, whatever. We've already talked about exactly what we think is going to happen, but I just think we need to grind out this bottom area a little bit longer.
Yeah, looks like it.
I would love that. If we didn't, I'd love to be wrong. It'd be great.
I'd love to wake up tomorrow and be like, what happened? It's $5,000. We're at 43K and alts are popping, and it's like, but you know what? And part of me says, like, if everybody in the world, again, if everybody in the world's like, we're either going to like 33 or 30 and then whatever, like, what if I would welcome a surprise to the upside, but logically I see, I think where the case is, equities do breathe, put in a breather around here somewhere, follow that Dow Jones fractal, crypto takes a dip, and then I think that would be a great opportunity on alts, in my opinion, because I think if we follow the fractal, and that's what I would play. I would buy that dip down here, and I think I need a little bit longer time to really see which ones have relative strength, to kind of make the call. I think in my mind it's a little bit too early right now, but
agreed.
Cool. We'll see. Glimmers down to 520, 518. Off the bottom, whatever. But that's it, man. Should we thank Phil for joining us today? Phil?
I don't see why not.
Phil, what are we doing? He says up only. Phil, I don't know. Phil, you might need to go back to your home there, buddy. But anyways, that's it, man. I think that's it for the live stream this week. Bravo, thanks for being with us, buddy.
Cool. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being in the live stream. Please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel and DM on Twitter, and I can help you get into the Telegram. And I guess until next time, that is all we had. So we'll see you next time. Thanks again.